I play airplanes.
Airplanes? How do you play airplanes? What do you mean?
You know, put our arms out and run around.
Oh, like...
And leave
like
trails
that.
behind us.
Leave trails? And how do you do that?
Well, we could
What do you mean?
get toilet paper or shaving cream, and we'll
Oh,
leave
that'd be cool. So we could like write stuff in the sky like airplanes do.
Yes.
It's the coolest thing ever when they write in the sky.
And that, in an airplane, is called a contrail.
Oh, what now?
A contrail.
Well, why is it called that? Like, that's weird.
So, I don't know why it's called that.
Oh, well, tell me a little fun fact about contrails, because I feel like there's one coming.
There is one coming. They are made out of water that freezes, that comes out of the exhaust of the airplane, and it forms like a really dense cloud.
Because it's probably coming out of the exhaust, it's probably hot, but then when it hits the air outside of the exhaust, it gets cold. Does that make sense? Yeah?
And it depends.
What? That's science that I just came out of my mouth.
That is science out of your mouth.
I know.
And it depends on how high the plane is flying, whether or not it's cold enough to leave the contrail.
Well, that makes sense. That's why sometimes they leave behind a trail and sometimes they don't.
Right. And you can see two planes flying. Like, it looks like they're flying right next to each other, but one's leaving a contrail and the other one's not. And the one leaving the contrail is flying at a part of the atmosphere that's colder than the other one.
So probably higher?
Probably higher. Not always.
Not always? Oh.
And depending on where you are in the world, you're more likely to see contrails and the time of year. If you're in Southern California in the summer, you're less likely to see the contrails because it's more hot and dry.
Yeah, it is. It's nice and sunny.
If you're in the Midwest in late summer or early fall when it's a little cooler, you'll see lots of contrails.
Cool.
Yeah.
I did not know that that's what that was.
So contrails actually affect weather too, as much as they are influenced by the weather.
How do they affect the weather?
They reflect light away from them. So light that would normally hit the ground bounces off the contrail and goes up back out into space.
So you're saying that airplanes that leave behind contrails are making it darker?
Slightly darker.
I mean, clearly it's not that much darker, but they're making it darker.
They are. As long as they are there.
That is ridiculous.
Yes.
Like, ridiculous. My mind is blown. And they're making space brighter. Is that not what you just said?
Yeah, more light going into space.
Right? I'm getting all these connections today. I'm just really excited.
They're like satellite photos of contrails like over the Atlantic.
Yeah.
And as they pass over the ocean, you can see the contrails. You can see the contrails in the satellite photos. And they get bigger. And then they can develop part of the weather pattern that would normally develop.
That is the craziest thing I've heard all day. Not the craziest thing I've heard on the show, but today, yeah, it's the craziest.
Also,
that's for darn sure.
Contrails are UFOs to some people. If you see a contrail that's just...
And we're starting to get back to our normal Brendanovich talk. UFOs,
Yeah. So an airplane could be dipping into a different part of the atmosphere that's a little colder. So where it wasn't leaving a contrail, then it leaves a contrail, and then it goes back to that part of the atmosphere that's warmer. So there's not a contrail, so it's just a portion. And depending on...
contrail snippet.
Yes.
Okay.
And depending on what angle the person is viewing it and how light is shining on it, there could be weird colors coming through it, like as a prism effect. And
crazy.
And if the sun has already set, but it's high enough that the contrail is hit by the sun, it could be lit like it's a glowing object in the sky.
Weird.
And not too long ago, it was something that flew off the coast of California, Southern California, and a lot of people thought it was a missile being shot up from the ocean.
Okay, those darn missiles.
But there were no missiles land, and the Army had no missiles.
That's terrifying. And
the most reasonable explanation currently is that it was a contrail of an airplane just flying off over the Pacific, and the angle it was viewed at made it look much broader and made it look like it was a missile launch instead of just a contrail from an airplane.
Weird. You had a lot of fun facts about contrails.
I had a ton.
Like, that was a lot of contrail trivia. really, is what it was. I was trying to think of another word that had a C that was like trivia, but I can't come up with one off the top of my head like that. But that's really, really cool.
I think so,
I did not know that about contrails. Do you think they knew that about contrails?
I don't think they knew that.
I don't think they did either. I don't think they even knew it was called a contrail, to be perfectly honest. I don't think
they could tell us some things about contrails that we didn't even talk about.
That is possibly true.
They probably didn't know it's called a contrail, though.
No, I'm telling you, they didn't. Nobody knows that kind of thing except you.
Yeah.
Nobody. So, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about contrails, hit us up at scientificstation.com.